Hello everyone, welcome back. Hopefully you have completed the getting started video for the course. If you're not, uh, welcome to Anthropology 140. My name is Professor Mercer, and of course if you read that, no one calls me that, everyone refers to me as Mercer, and I'll probably even sign my announcements from henceforth just as Mercer. Okay. So I want to familiarize yourself with the course mechanics, what we're going to be doing, how to proceed, how to get graded and do well in the course, as well as some of the course policies. So if you will, bring up the syllabus right now. So you can right click on that and bring it up in a different window. You can pause this for a second. Okay, hopefully you're back with that syllabus. So the most important thing, I think, right off the bat is my contact information is right at the very top. And two ways to really get a hold of me. And those are by, the Canvas announcements or by, voice or text. Either work. It's just voice or text is much faster. I'll check, Canvas announcements or my email, 2 or 3 times a day and in the evenings. But generally, unlike you, I carry my text, my cell phone with me everywhere. If I get a call or if I get a text, I'll be able to get right back a hold of you. And that can be critical for you, especially when you're thinking about something. This is that moment in which you're trying to learn something and something's not making sense. You need help on it right there. That's when you get a hold of me with the voice or text. I think voice is better because it condenses our time wise. With me, it's fumbling around on text takes me a little while to get going back and forth. So voice. Now I'm available solidly Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Evenings too. It's just I have kids and I'm running around doing different things with them, dinner and all this stuff. As I welcome your phone calls, I just not be able to take them. And of course, if you need, like you're getting off work or something, you can always text me, hey, Mercer, you're going to be up at 10, 11? Well, yeah, whatever. You can always call me, arrange something that way too, which might be better for me and you in the evenings. Just let me know you're going to call, and I'll clear it, make sure I get that time frame set away from you, for you. The same thing for the weekends, because I have stuff going on. It's not so bad this year with COVID. I'm not running around to baseball practice as much, and soccer girls is not so bad either. So I mean, it's not as hectic. I still have stuff going on, but if you do try to call or leave or give me a text, I will get back to you sometime during the day. I just can't guarantee it's going to be at that particular point. All right. So let's have a look. There's a lot of information I have down here. A lot of it's really on how to get assistance in the college. And I'm going to be actually sending out something pretty soon for a survey I want you to take about getting some basic needs, making sure everyone has their basic needs met, and where I can get help for you because we've got a lot of money coming over COVID now that students don't know about from the federal government, and it's awesome. It's an awesome time to take advantage of it. I want you guys to get every dime that's out there. So I'll be sending out a separate message for that in the video about that pretty soon. Okay. All right. In the meantime, you can look over some of the support things that we have here. And if you're not familiar, familiar with Canvas, there is a tutorial video series I have links to here for you. For those of you who are DSS students, let me know. Let me know if you're a DSS student. You don't have to wait for the main office to get a hold of me to get what you need for testing and other accommodations. Please, just send me out a quick a message on that, and I'll get it all set up for you so that it'll be fail-safe. There won't be any surprises coming at you. I know what it's like to go into an exam and you're supposed to get these accommodations you don't have. It's very frustrating. I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. Okay. So the course itself, this is a laboratory course in biological anthropology. It's tended to sort of reinforce the science aspects, because biology and anthropology, ologies are all sciences, right? So there's a scientific way, a sort of way of thinking about the material. And that's what this course is about. Even in an online format, we're going to be taking that sort of approach. But being in an online format, we're not going to be doing the sort of same activities you're having in the class. We aren't going to have all that material available, for us to do, but there will be a lot of stuff that we actually can do. And how you're going to be achieving those goals is through two primary sort of sources, right? The first is this book by Robert Hazen, The Story of Earth, and this one you need right away. It's available soft copy, as well as e-text out there. It full bar retail is like 18 bucks, probably maybe 12 bucks used on something like this, but get it as quick as you can. And the next book, this is our workbook, this is our mainstay. Workbook for Anthropology by Agarwal and Soluri. Make sure you get the second edition. It'll be a yellow label, so if you're shopping around, the pictures sort of look at the same. For you guys, it might be different primates or similar looking primates. This one's distinct for me because it's a Bornean orangutan. and I could identify it. But for most of you guys, you might actually have a tendency to get the first edition. Don't do that because they're completely different books. I mean, all the information is different, the questions are different, right? So we have to have the second edition. Good news is we're not going to have to really work on this book for another month. So you have that time to actually shop around and get it for the best deal possible. It can be, one of these, soft copies like this, or it can also be an e-version, even a rental. All will work just fine for this class. Okay, those are the only required things you have, texts you have to have. I do have something listed as a recommended book, and I don't even know if I really want to recommend it anymore. It's a good book. It's called Fossil Primates. When we're getting into analyzing some of the, primate fossils, it kind of helps reinforce the Agrawal and Soluri's workbook a little bit. But I also think the new information that we actually have out there on Google, a lot of the images and everything that's available right now sort of supplants that book. And, if you don't want to spend the extra money, and that one's kind of expensive, I think you can get away with the images. And I'll try to point you to those images when they become relevant for the laboratories too. All right. So how are you going to be graded? Well, here's the thing. There's three major things that we have in the course for grading components. The first one is an overall large assignment, which you're going to be doing called the Earth History Timeline. We're going to be producing a timeline of Earth's history, right? You can do it, in Word, electronic, or you can do it in a paper banner and notebook paper laid on your floor, whatever you want to do. We're going to be producing an overall history of Earth, as Earth has changed, as life has changed. It'll be your rendition of it that will start early in the course and you'll be building towards turning it in the very last day. And that's worth 60 points. So it's a large component of your grading, and most students do very well. I mean, for as much as they usually give away on quizzes, people pretty much roar back with that one, because I have several examples on the website that are different grading levels, like A, B's, and C. So it's easy to see what the rubric is, what you have to do to step up to get whatever grade you want in the class. Right? Number two, there are 9 laboratory assignments, and those come from this book. Of the 16 different labs in here, we're going to be doing 9 of those. I've taken 9 of the most relevant ones, the most interesting ones, and I placed those for you to do, and you'll be doing a write-up of those and submitting it. So you'll see where the laboratory assignments are in the modules. And when you click on it, there'll just be instructions about what I want you to do in this book. And before the due date, you can actually either enter the information right in the assignment and just submit it, or you can just upload whatever you've done on binder paper, or right in here you can photograph a copy of it, or any way you want to deliver it to me. You can be uploaded through those links. Okay. And then there are 4 quizzes. There are 30-point quizzes. One is at the end of each of the modules. There are 4 modules. There's a final quiz, which is not cumulative. They're all just on the modules themselves. They're all pretty much the same format, 30 points each. Really, there's 15 questions, 2 points each on each one. And generally, they're drawn from the labs in which you do. They're probably questions you've already answered. Thus, if you will just do the labs ahead of the quizzes, you will do fine on the quiz itself. You will do fine. All students have found that out. So there's no secret within that formula. Do the labs first, take the quizzes, do well in the course. All right. Adds and drops. My only advice about this is make sure you get out of the course before you have a W. Okay. Even though you can withdraw, from a course without affecting your GPA, W's are still on your record. I found that out when I transferred from a community college to a university. Right, I decided to go ahead, and the college I wanted to go to was Berkeley, and I was going to Foothill College down in Palo Alto, and I went to apply to Berkeley. My GPA was good, but they denied me, and I talked to a admission counselor over there, and they said I had too many W's on my record. They said that was too much of a high risk. Apparently, people with W's take longer to complete on average the college, and it costs the college more money for you there. So they're not going to give you the easy admittance. I wish I had known that, right? So try to drop the course where you get the W's on them. I think that's very important. Okay. All right. So any of you guys also in the next section we're going down to, if you have disabilities, DSS fix, I think I mentioned this again, please get a hold of me right off the bat so I can get all that stuff taken care of. All right. So as far as policies are concerned, I mean, in a lab course, what we're talking about academic integrity. You're going to be doing an overall project, this Earth Timeline project. Here's the thing, is that they're all going to look different because you're all going to be getting sort of different sources of information, and I want them to look different, okay? But at the same time, I don't mind you guys sharing stuff that you found. I mean, I want this to be fun. mean, and I'm telling you what, one thing about dealing with COVID right now, it's not fun because we're isolated. So, if you can find people you want to work with on stuff like this, but to produce different sort of assignments, I'm all good for that. All I ask you to do is you take the quizzes on your own, okay? And it's just I think this is fair. And here's one of the reasons is that I had so many students that, and even my own generation, that found out they could just try to squeak through school as minimum possible, right? And they got the degree and they thought that was going to give them the job, but they get to the job and they have this ego that thinks that they can do any job in the world. They get out there in the job and they realize that these people expect to be able to solve problems and think critically, and they couldn't. They didn't train themselves. They didn't, go and forge their minds in the educational process, and they didn't even make it to the 90 days, right? And that's one of the things that the idea of getting an education is learning how to think critically and forcing yourself to think in different ways so that when you leave here and go out into that world, you're able to do the job successfully. So if academic integrity is not about, being fair or unfair, it's about you shortchanging yourself, down the road. I'm just telling you, take my almost 60 years of life experience, right, to know that is a truism. All right. I can tell you stories about how I failed miserably because I didn't follow my own advice, right? So I was a prisoner of my own advice. I don't have time to go into it right now. Believe me, I learned the fast way. All right. So remember, no cheating and do your own work for your own good. Okay. Now, interaction in an online environment, be respectful. We're all the same species, right? We share psychic unity. The only differences between people are not genetic. I know there's very little genetic difference between us, right? It's cultural differences, right? The social environments in which we grow, and those can produce all sorts of polarizations between people, and distrusts and animosities, which don't need to exist, right? Because we all are deserving of respect of each other. Man, we're all, think about it, we're in this together, right? There's nobody else in this planet but us, me and you, right? So we, at this time frame, let's just be together, and care about each other, okay? So respect, okay, please. Okay. All right, so here's the syllabus, and what we're going to be doing. It really is more detailed, the sequence in the modules which you look at, but essentially that's what it is. The sequence, what you're going to be doing, what's expected out of you, and more importantly, the very first lab quiz date. So as you can see, it's slated here at the end of module number 1 is February 22nd. So that's roughly just shy of a month from now, we're having our first quiz. So keep that ahead of you, right? I have till February 22nd to get this work done and pace yourself through it. I'm going to send out weekly announcements, maybe a couple times a week, to say where you probably should be at this point to stay paced. But I think one of the most important things to do is think about is that this first sort of module is not going to be in the workbook. It's sort of getting information to prepare you to do the Earth timeline assignment, to get the background stuff, right? How science works, how we know what we know, and most of that information is going to be out of the videos I show and the book by Robert Hazen. So if you notice that I'm going to ask you to read up to, the first, roughly 100 pages on this thing, right? So we really have to sort of get up to this page number, about 100 in this book, by about that time. So I don't want you to read this book, with a lot of technical detail, because he does go into some geochemistry, not much heavy. He's just to try to get you to sort of think about it. You can gloss the chemistry stuff. Unless you're a science major who loves chemistry, and that's where I was. I was actually a biochemistry major, so I would stop and pay attention to every single chemical reaction you talk about. Now just blow off the chemical stuff, right? Get the major gist to summarize some of the arguments and what he's talking about. That's all we're looking for, right? So those first pages aren't going to be difficult to do, but you just can't forget about them. Okay, that's important. Don't forget about those, because I'm going to be drawing some questions, some general overall questions, some bigger themes from this book. And as the course progresses on, I'll be placing more and more videos in that sort of explain, how I'm reading the book and what I'm taking out of the book, so you can see what the book through my mind, so you'll get an idea of the type of questions that I'm probably going to draw. I don't want to leave you, in the dark about this sort of thing. All right. Well, that does it for this sort of introduction to the course. So I want you to get started on this first section, which you're in right now, and take a look at the very first viewings that you have on the list, and you'll see it right off the bat. The first one is a film by Brian Cox. I've met Brian. I had lunch with him a little while ago. He was actually on tour here, and he came out here 2 years ago. And he had two shows in San Francisco and one in San Jose, and he agreed to have lunch with me. I sat down, I talked to him, and I really addressed him about this video he did, Why Are We Here? Because I had a question. Something didn't seem to make sense sort of to me within the film. Um, and um, and so I want you to make sure you get started with Why Are We Here? I want you to look at my follow-up comments. These are the comments I had for Brian Cox. And I want you to think about the way in which science works. What's the value of science? And above all, what is the universe? How did it get started? And that's where we can start on our Earth Timeline project. Now, the next video I want you to watch, and that's within this week or leading up to the next 10 days, I would say, is going to be Life's Rocky Start. And that is a viewing that's actually based on this book right here. The person who did this video is Robert L. Hazen. And that is the person that, wrote your textbook. Now, Life's Rocky Start isn't a video in which we'll supplant or sort of, make up for this book. It's designed to enhance this book with visuals, right? It's a good primer to it. So don't say, well, I've seen Robert Hazen's video. I don't need to look at this. No, you do. Not only for the quiz purposes, but also for information for your Earth Timeline project. And we'll be discussing that. I mean, in fact, I have a video that in the Earth Timeline project section of this module, we can go down and have a look at it, a video that explains exactly what that is, relevant student examples, right? But for now, let's get those two videos watched within the next week or so. I think that's a good sort of timeline for that, and I'll get back to you later. Bye.